Captain Elena Vasquez stared at the screen in front of her. The numbers did not make sense. Her ship's computers showed something big floating in space. But it should not be there. Nothing lived in this empty part of the galaxy. "Sarah, run the scan again," she told her science officer. Sarah Chen typed fast on her keyboard. Her face looked confused. "Captain, I'm getting the same reading. There's something out there. It's huge." Elena walked over to look at Sarah's screen. The object was 3 kilometers wide and perfectly round like a ball. It floated between 2 dead planets, where nothing should exist. "How long has it been there?" Elena asked. "The computer says at least 70,000 years, Sarah answered. "Maybe longer." Elena felt her heart beat faster. 70,000 years was longer than any known civilization in the galaxy. Humans had only been traveling in space for 400 years. Most alien races they knew about were only a few thousand years older than humans. "Marcus, what do you think?" Elena called to Dr. Marcus Chen, their expert on old alien things. Marcus looked up from his books. He was Sarah's older brother and spent most of his time studying ancient alien artifacts. "If it's really that old, it could change everything we know about galactic history." Elena made her decision. "Set course for the object. We're going to take a closer look." The mining ship times Prometheus 7 times was not built for exploration, but Elena's crew was curious by nature. They had been mining asteroids for rare metals when they found this mystery. Elena knew her bosses back on Earth would be angry if she delayed their mission, but this was too important to ignore. As they flew closer, the object became clearer on their screens. It looked like it was made of crystal, but not any crystal they knew. The surface was smooth and reflected the distant stars like a mirror. "I've never seen anything like this," Sarah whispered. "The material doesn't match anything in our database." "How is it still working after 70,000 years?" Marcus asked. "Most technology breaks down after a few centuries in space." On one. Elena was about to answer when every alarm on the ship started screaming at once. The lights flickered and went out. The engine made strange sounds and stopped working. Even their watches stopped ticking. "What's happening?" Elena shouted over the noise. "All systems are failing," Sarah yelled back. "Everything's going crazy." For 7 seconds and 3/10 of a second exactly, their ship was dead in space. Elena floated in her chair as the artificial gravity failed. She could not see anything in the darkness. She could not hear anything except her own breathing and her crew's frightened voices. Then, as suddenly as it started, everything came back to normal. The lights turned on. The engine hummed quietly. Their computers beeped back to life. "Status report," Elena ordered, trying to sound calm. "All systems are working normally," Sarah said, but her voice shook. "It's like nothing happened. Except for one thing," Marcus said slowly. He pointed at the main screen. The crystal object had changed. Before, it was smooth and clear like glass. Now, strange symbols moved across its surface like living things. The symbols glowed with soft blue light and seemed to dance and flow like water. "What are those marks?" Elena asked. Sarah's fingers flew over her keyboard. "I'm trying to translate them, but the computer doesn't recognize the language." Marcus moved closer to the screen. "Wait, they're changing. The symbols are becoming different." Elena watched in amazement as the alien symbols slowly shifted and changed shape. Some of them began to look familiar, almost like letters she knew. "Captain," Sarah said quietly, "I'm getting a transmission." "From where?" "From the object." Elena felt cold. "Put it on speakers." Static filled the bridge for a moment. Then, through the noise, they heard something impossible. A voice spoke to them. It was not human, but it spoke in perfect English. The voice was old, so old it seemed to carry the weight of thousands of years. It sounded tired, like someone who had been sleeping for a very long time. But there was something else in that ancient voice. Joy, relief, and something that sounded like hope, humanity. The voice said slowly, carefully, as if testing the word, "You have finally come." Elena felt her breath catch in her throat. Marcus dropped his book. Sarah stared at the speakers with her mouth open. This is Captain Elena Vasquez of the Earthship Times Prometheus 7th, *. Elena said into her microphone. Who are you? Silence filled the bridge for long minutes. Elena wondered if the voice would speak again. Finally, it answered. I am what you might call a guardian. I have been waiting for your species for 70,000 years. Waiting for us? Why? Because you are the ones we hoped would come, the ones we prepared for. Elena looked at her crew. They all had the same confused expression she probably had on her own face. I don't understand, she said. We're just minors. We're not special. Something that might have been laughter came through the speakers. You say you are not special, yet you stopped your work to investigate something unknown. You risk your lives to satisfy curiosity about something that cannot benefit you. Already, you show why we chose correctly. Chose correctly for what? All will be explained, Captain Vasquez. But first, you must know that others will come. Many others, species far older and more powerful than humanity, will learn of my awakening. They will claim the right to possess me and my knowledge. Elena felt worry growing in her stomach. Are we in danger? You are in great danger, but not in the way you think. The danger is not to your bodies, but to your future. Other species will not understand why I speak only to humans. They will not accept that the youngest race in the galaxy has been chosen for the greatest responsibility. What responsibility? To guard the light against the darkness that comes. To stand watch when all others have given up hope. To remain human when the universe asks you to become something else. The voice grew fainter, as if the being speaking was growing tired. Rest now, Captain. Send word to your people. Tell them the beacon has awakened, and it remembers the promise made long ago. Soon, all will be revealed. The transmission ended, leaving Elena and her crew in stunned silence. Elena stared at the crystal object floating outside their ship. Its symbols still danced across its surface, beautiful and mysterious. She thought about the voice's words and wondered what they meant. Whatever was happening, she knew their lives had just changed forever. News traveled fast across the galaxy. 3 days after Elena's discovery, every major alien government knew about the ancient beacon. Earth's government tried to keep it secret, but secrets were impossible when 47 different species all had spies watching each other. Elena's small mining ship was no longer alone. Massive alien fleets appeared in the system like metal storms. The ethereal collective came first in ships that looked like floating crystals. They were beings made of pure energy who thought emotions were a disease. Their leader, Ambassador Zix Thala, demanded the right to study what they called the artifact. Next came the Mandorian Empire. Their black warships looked like weapons even when standing still. War Prime Korath commanded their fleet from a ship the size of a small moon. The Mandorians were a warrior race who solved every problem by fighting it. They claimed ancient salvage rights over anything found in space. Other species followed. The bug-like Kolari arrived in ships that buzzed and hummed. The stone-skinned Vari brought vessels that moved like floating mountains. Even the peaceful Delphins sent representatives. Though they only wanted to make sure nobody started a war, Elena watched all these ships arrive with growing fear. Her tiny mining vessel looked like a toy next to the alien fleets. Earth's nearest military ship was weeks away. She felt very alone and very small. Captain, Marcus said nervously. We should leave. This is getting dangerous. We can't leave, Elena replied. The beacon called to us specifically. We have a responsibility. Sarah looked up from her computer screens. The alien fleets are demanding we move away from the beacon. They say it's too important for humans to handle alone. Elena made a choice that would change everything. Tell them we're staying. The beacon spoke to us, not them. The alien response was immediate and angry. Ambassador Zix Thala's voice came over their communications. Cold and electronic. Captain Vasquez, you will withdraw immediately. This artifact predates your species by tens of thousands of years. You have no right to claim it. War Prime Korath's message was more direct. Move your ship, human, or we will move it for you. Elena was about to answer when something amazing happened. The beacon had been quiet since their first contact, but now it began to glow again. The crystal surface became bright blue, and the dancing symbols moved faster across its surface. "It's responding," Sarah said with excitement. "The beacon is activating again," but as the alien ships moved closer to investigate, the beacon suddenly went dark. Its glow faded completely. The symbols stopped moving. It became just a dead crystal ball floating in space. The alien fleets tried everything. They sent scanning beams and communication signals. They moved closer and farther away. Nothing worked. The beacon remained completely silent. Then Elena had an idea. "Take us closer to the beacon," she ordered. "Captain, the aliens won't like that," Marcus warned. "Let's see what happens." As the times Prometheus the seventh times approached the beacon, it came alive again. The blue glow returned. The symbols danced across its surface. Elena felt like the beacon was happy to see them. "This is impossible," came Zixthala's voice over the radio. "The artifact responds only to the humans. How can this be?" Elena tried to sound more confident than she felt. "Maybe it's because we're the ones it was waiting for." The alien fleets spent hours trying to activate the beacon. Ship after ship approached, but nothing happened. Only when humans were nearby did the ancient device show any signs of life. This made the aliens very angry. They had been exploring space for thousands of years longer than humans. They had advanced technology and powerful weapons. How could an ancient artifact ignore them in favor of the youngest species in the galaxy? Dr. Chen made the next discovery. While studying the beacon's signals, he noticed something unusual. "Captain, it's not just responding to us. It's sending us information." "What kind of information?" "I'm not sure yet, but it's complex. Really complex. The data stream is huge. And it's all in a format our computers can barely understand." Sarah joined her brother at his workstation. "It's like the beacon is downloading something into our systems. But only our systems. The alien ships aren't receiving anything." Elena watched the data flowing across their screens. Numbers, symbols, and patterns she could not understand filled every monitor. "Can you make sense of any of it?" "Some parts look like they might be technical blueprints," Marcus said slowly. "But the technology is far beyond anything we know. Light years ahead of our science. Light years ahead of alien science too," Sarah added. "This is more advanced than anything in the galaxy." The alien fleets grew more frustrated by the hour. They sent angry messages demanding explanations. They threatened to take the beacon by force. Some ships powered up their weapons and aimed them at the small human vessel. Elena knew she was in terrible danger. But she also knew something important was happening. The beacon had chosen humanity for a reason, even if she did not understand why. "Captain," Marcus said quietly, "I think the beacon is trying to teach us something. These data patterns, they're not random. There's a structure to them. Like lessons building on each other." "Lessons in what?" "I don't know yet. But whatever it is, it's meant for us specifically." Ambassador Zixthala's ship moved very close to the times Prometheus the seventh asterisk. Elena could see the alien vessel through her window, its crystal hull glowing with cold light. "Captain Vasquez," came the ambassador's voice. "You will share all data from the artifact immediately. This knowledge is too important to remain in primitive hands." Elena thought carefully before answering. Something inside her said this was a test, though she did not know what kind. "Ambassador, the beacon chose to share its information with us. Until we understand why, we cannot give that information to others." "You would keep galactic history from the galaxy itself?" "We would honor the choice of something that waited 70,000 years to speak." The silence that followed felt heavy with threat. Elena knew she had just made enemies of some of the most powerful beings in the galaxy. But looking at the beacon's soft blue glow, she felt she had made the right choice. Warprime Korath's ship powered up its weapons. Perhaps the humans need a lesson in respect. Elena held her breath. But before the Mandorian could fire, something unexpected happened. The beacon's glow became blinding white. Every alien ship in the system suddenly had their weapons shut down by some unknown force. Only the human ship remained unaffected. "This is our first warning," came the ancient voice Elena had heard before. It spoke on all frequencies so every ship could hear. The beacon and its knowledge belong to those it chooses to trust. Interference will not be tolerated. Elena smiled despite her fear. She did not understand what was happening or why humanity had been chosen, but she was beginning to believe it was something wonderful. Dr. Marcus Chen had been working with the beacon's signals for 2 weeks when something strange happened to him. He was sitting at his computer, trying to understand the alien symbols, when the world around him suddenly changed. He was no longer on the ship. Instead, he stood in a place that felt like being inside a star. Light flowed around him like liquid gold, and he could see shapes moving in the brightness that almost looked like people, but not quite. "Do not be afraid," a voice said inside his mind. "We are showing you what you need to know." Marcus tried to speak, but no sound came out. The beings of light seemed to understand his thoughts anyway. "We are the architects," the voice continued. "Long ago, we built this beacon, and many others. We have been waiting for your people to find us." The golden light around Marcus began to form pictures, like watching a movie made of sunshine. He saw a galaxy much younger than today, with different stars and planets. He watched civilizations rise and fall like waves on an ocean. "We were once like you," the voice explained. "We had bodies and emotions and dreams, but we grew beyond the need for physical form. We became something more." Marcus watched the story unfold in the light. He saw the architects as they once were. Tall, graceful beings who loved knowledge and beauty. He watched them discover how to leave their bodies behind and become pure thought and energy. "But before we departed your reality, we realized something important. In all our travels across the galaxy, we had seen many species grow and evolve. Most followed the same path we did. They either destroyed themselves or they transcended their physical nature." The images changed to show different alien worlds. Marcus saw civilizations that focused only on logic and efficiency, like the ethereals. He saw warrior races that valued only strength, like the Mandorians. He saw species that became so focused on survival that they lost their ability to care about others. "None of these paths were wrong, but none were complete," the voice said. "Logic without emotion creates beings who cannot understand the value of life. Strength without compassion creates endless war. Survival without hope creates only fear." Marcus felt tears on his face, though he did not remember crying. The story the architects showed him was beautiful and sad at the same time. "Then we found your world," the voice continued. "We found Earth 70,000 years ago, during your species' darkest time." The images changed again. Marcus saw Earth as it was long ago, a world struggling with ice and cold and death. He saw small groups of early humans facing impossible challenges. Their technology was simple, their numbers were small, and the planet seemed determined to kill them. "Your people should have died out," the voice said. By all logic and probability, early humanity was doomed. The climate was changing. Food was scarce, and stronger species ruled the world. But in the images, Marcus saw something amazing. He watched humans work together to survive, when working alone would have been easier. He saw them share their last food with children and elderly people who could not help them in return. He saw them risk their lives to save strangers. Other species, when faced with extinction, became focused only on themselves, the voice explained. They became cold and calculating, or violent and aggressive. But humans did something different. The worse things became, the more they cared for each other. Marcus watched a scene that broke his heart. A group of early humans was starving. But when they found food, the strongest hunter gave his share to a sick child, who was not even his own. The hunter died so the child could live. "This was when we knew," the voice said. "Humans were different. You grew stronger through suffering, but not by becoming hard. You grew stronger by becoming more connected to each other." The vision showed the architects making their decision. They placed beacons throughout the galaxy, each one designed to awaken when certain species reached space travel, but only one beacon was special. The one designed for humanity. We realized that logic and strength and efficiency were not enough to protect the galaxy from what was coming, the voice continued. The universe would need something else, something only humans possessed. What do we have that others don't? Marcus finally managed to ask. Hope. The voice answered simply. Hope that refuses to die even when dying makes sense. Hope that makes you fight for others even when there is no benefit to you. Hope that makes you believe in tomorrow, even when today is terrible. Marcus saw more images. Humans throughout history choosing to help rather than hurt. To build rather than destroy. To forgive rather than seek revenge. Even when it cost them dearly, humans kept choosing compassion over cruelty. The ethereals abandoned emotion because they thought it was inefficient, the voice explained. The Mandorians turned all their emotions into anger because they thought it made them strong. The Kolari gave up individual choice because they thought unity was more important than freedom. But humans kept all their emotions, the good and the bad. You feel fear, but act brave anyway. You feel pain, but help others anyway. You know you will die someday, but you still choose to love and build and dream. The vision began to fade, and Marcus found himself back on his ship. But the voice continued to speak in his mind. This is why we chose you. Not because you are the strongest or the smartest, but because you are the only ones who will fight for life itself, even when life seems hopeless. Marcus looked around the bridge with new eyes. Captain Vasquez was arguing with an alien ambassador, refusing to abandon the beacon even though their ship was surrounded by enemy fleets. Sarah was working 18-hour days trying to understand the beacon's signals, driven by curiosity and wonder rather than orders or profit. The beacon will share its knowledge with you, the voice said. But remember, knowledge without wisdom is dangerous, and wisdom without heart is meaningless. We give you these gifts because we trust you to remain human while using them. What if we're not strong enough? Marcus asked. What if we fail? Then you will fail as humans, the voice replied. And there is honor in that. Better to fail while trying to save everyone than to succeed by saving only yourselves. Marcus felt the presence leave his mind. He was alone again, but not really alone. He understood now why the beacon had called to them. Humanity was not special because they were superior. They were special because they refused to give up on others, even when giving up would be easier. He looked at his sister Sarah, still working at her computer. He looked at Captain Vasquez, still defending their right to stay near the beacon. They did not know what he had learned, but they were already proving the architect's choice was correct. They were being human, and apparently, that was exactly what the universe needed. When the beacon fully awakened, it sent a signal across the entire galaxy. The signal was so powerful that every space-traveling civilization detected it within hours. But they did not know what it meant until other ancient sites began responding. On 17 different worlds, architect ruins that had slept for thousands of years suddenly came to life. Each site contained tests, challenges, designed to measure different species' abilities and values. The Ethereal Collective was the first to discover what was happening. On their home world, an ancient crystal formation began glowing and presenting logic puzzles of incredible complexity. The Ethereals solved them easily, their energy-based minds working faster than any computer. They felt proud of their success. The Mandorian Empire found their test on a dead world near their border. Ancient machines rose from the ground and created combat scenarios that pushed their warriors to their limits. The Mandorians fought with skill and courage, defeating every challenge. War Prime Korath declared it proof of their superiority. The Kolari discovered their test in an asteroid field, a series of coordination challenges that required perfect unity among thousands of individuals. The hive-minded insects completed every task in perfect harmony, moving as one great organism. Each species excelled at their own tests. They were proud and confident that they would be chosen for whatever great reward the architects offered. But then the human tests began. Captain Sarah Martinez was leading a rescue mission when the first human test appeared. Her medical ship was evacuating civilians from a war zone when they received a distress signal from a Mandorian vessel under attack. The logical choice was to ignore it. Mandorians were enemies, and helping them would put her patients at risk. Instead, Sarah ordered her ship to respond to the Mandorian distress call. "Captain, this doesn't make sense," her medical officer protested. "We have wounded civilians aboard. We should head for the nearest hospital station." "The Mandorians are wounded too," Sarah replied. "They need help now, not later." Her ship dove into the battle zone. Enemy fighters swarmed around them, but Sarah's crew managed to rescue the surviving Mandorians before their ship exploded. In the process, Sarah's own ship was damaged, and 2 of her crew were injured. Later, when asked why she risked everything to save enemies, Sarah looked confused. "They needed help. What else was I supposed to do?" Across the galaxy, the ancient architect site monitoring this region recorded the event. The test was not about medical skill or tactical brilliance. It was about choosing to help strangers, even when it cost you something important. Similar tests appeared everywhere humans traveled. On a trade station, a human merchant named David Park discovered that his business partner had been cheating him for years. The alien had stolen enough money to ruin David's family business. David had proof and could have sent his partner to prison. Instead, David confronted the alien privately and offered him a chance to pay the money back slowly, with no criminal charges. When asked why he showed mercy to someone who had betrayed him, David said, "Everyone makes mistakes. He has a family too. Destroying him won't fix what happened, but giving him a chance to make it right might." The architect site recorded another successful test. Other species had been presented with similar betrayals, but they all chose revenge or punishment. Only humans consistently chose forgiveness and redemption. Ambassador Chen Wei was negotiating a peace treaty between 2 alien species that had been fighting for decades. Both sides trusted her to be fair because humans had no stake in their conflict. The negotiations were almost complete when Chen discovered that signing the treaty would give humans access to rich mining rights that could make Earth wealthy. But Chen also realized that if she pushed for those mining rights, the peace talks would fail. The 2 alien species would go back to war, and millions would die. Chen removed the mining rights from the treaty negotiations entirely. "Ambassador," her aide asked privately, "Earth needs those resources. Why are you giving up this opportunity?" "Because peace is more important than profit," Chen replied. "We can find resources somewhere else. But these people can't get their lives back once they're dead." The treaty was signed. War ended. Millions of lives were saved. Earth got nothing material in return. The architect sites recorded every decision. Humans were consistently choosing others' welfare over their own benefit. It made no logical sense, yet they did it over and over again. The other species began to notice the pattern. Ambassador Zix Thala reviewed the data with growing confusion. "The humans are failing every rational test," she reported to her council. "They choose sacrifice over gain, mercy over justice, hope over probability. Their behavior is completely illogical." War Prime Korath agreed from his flagship. "They are weak. When given chances to dominate, they instead seek equality. When given opportunities to punish enemies, they show mercy. They will never survive in a galaxy that rewards only strength." But as more tests unfolded, something strange happened. The architect sites that tested humans began connecting to each other. Light beams shot between distant worlds, linking the ancient stations in a growing network. Dr. Marcus Chen, still aboard the beacon, watched this happen with amazement. The sites are talking to each other. Every time humans pass one of these tests, the network grows stronger. Captain Vasquez looked at the data streams flowing from the beacon. "What kind of tests are we passing? What are these architects looking for?" "I think they're not testing our abilities," Marcus said slowly. "I think they're testing our hearts." The final human test came when Commander Lisa Zhang encountered a disabled alien ship in deep space. The ship belonged to the Delron species, peaceful traders who had been attacked by pirates. But Zhang's military vessel was on an urgent mission carrying vital medicine to a human colony suffering from plague. If Zhang stopped to help the aliens, the medicine would arrive too late. Hundreds of humans would die. If she continued to her mission, The alien ship would drift in space until its life support failed. 60 innocent traders would die. Zhang faced an impossible choice: save her own people or save strangers. She chose to split her cargo. Half the medicine went to the human colony, half to the alien ship so they could trade it for repairs and food. Both groups would survive, but barely. "Commander," her first officer asked, "what if the reduced medicine shipment isn't enough for our colonists? Then we'll find another way to help them," Zhang replied. "But I won't sacrifice innocent lives just because they're not human." When that decision was recorded, something incredible happened. The network of architect sites reached critical mass. Ancient machines that had been silent for eons began working again across the galaxy. The beacon near Earth began projecting a hologram visible to every ship in the system. The image showed the galaxy itself, with thousands of points of light marking every intelligent species. But something was wrong with the image. Dark spots were growing at the edges, slowly eating away at the light. The ancient voice spoke again, addressing all species at once. "The final test approaches. The silence comes to devour all consciousness, all hope, all life. Logic cannot stop it. Strength cannot defeat it. Unity cannot outlast it. Only one force in the universe can stand against the silence. The force that chooses light over darkness, not because it is logical, but because it is right. The force that fights for others even when fighting is hopeless. The force that believes tomorrow can be better than today, even when today is terrible." The voice paused, and when it continued, it spoke directly to the human ships. "Humanity, you have proven what we hoped to find. You are the guardians we have waited for. Will you accept the responsibility to protect not just your own species, but all life in the galaxy?" Captain Vasquez looked around her bridge. Her small crew had started this journey as simple miners. Now, they were being asked to save the universe. "What does accepting mean?" she asked. "It means carrying a burden no species has ever borne. It means staying human while wielding power beyond imagination. It means fighting an enemy that feeds on despair with the only weapon that can defeat it, hope itself." Elena thought about all the tests she had heard about. Humans saving enemies, forgiving betrayers, sharing resources, choosing mercy over revenge. They had been preparing for this moment without knowing it. "We accept," she said simply. The moment Captain Vasquez accepted the architect's offer, the galaxy changed forever. The beacon near Earth began to glow brighter than any star. Similar light erupted from every architect site across the galaxy, creating a web of energy that connected thousands of worlds. But with the light came knowledge that chilled Elena to her bones. The ancient voice filled her mind with visions of the silence. An enemy unlike anything the galaxy had ever faced. It was not an alien species or a natural disaster. The silence was entropy itself, given hunger and purpose. It did not simply destroy matter or energy. It erased the very possibility of hope, creativity, and love. "The silence appears every few million years," the voice explained. "It begins at the edge of the galaxy and spreads inward like a plague. But it does not kill quickly. First, it makes civilizations lose the will to continue. They become cold, logical, and empty. They stop creating art, stop helping each other, stop believing in tomorrow." Elena watched in horror as the vision showed her previous galaxy-wide extinctions. Entire species simply gave up and let themselves fade away. Others became so focused on survival that they forgot why survival mattered. "The silence feeds on despair," the voice continued. "The more a civilization loses hope, the faster it spreads. Eventually, every thinking being in the galaxy stops thinking, stops feeling, stops caring. They become empty shells until even their bodies forget how to live." "How do we fight something like that?" Elena asked. "With its opposite. The silence is powered by despair, but it can be stopped by hope. Not the logical hope of good odds or favorable circumstances, but the irrational hope that refuses to die even when dying makes perfect sense." The beacon began downloading incredible knowledge into Elena's ship. She saw technology beyond her wildest dreams. Machines that could heal dying suns. weapons that could tear holes in space itself, shields that could protect entire solar systems. But the technology came with a warning. "These tools will change you," the voice said. "The power to protect galaxies is also the power to destroy them." Every previous species we offered this choice to eventually lost themselves. They became so focused on fighting the silence that they forgot what they were fighting for. Elena watched more visions. Previous galactic guardians who had become cold and distant, caring only about efficiency and victory. They had defeated the silence, but lost their souls in the process. The ethereals were offered this power once, the voice revealed. They refused because they calculated the odds of maintaining their essential nature were too low. The Mandorians were offered it as well. They accepted, but became so focused on strength that they destroyed themselves in civil war before the silence ever arrived. "What makes you think we'll be different?" Elena asked. "Because you have already proven it. For 70,000 years, humans have faced extinction again and again. Ice ages, plagues, wars, disasters. Your species should have died out countless times. But each time, instead of becoming harder, you became more determined to help each other." Elena felt the weight of the offer settling on her shoulders. Humanity was being asked to become guardians of all life in the galaxy. They would have power beyond imagination. But they would also face an enemy that could drive them insane with despair. "There is more," the voice said. "The silence is already coming. Our instruments detect it at the galaxy's edge. Still centuries away, but definitely approaching. You have perhaps 500 years to prepare. 500 years to learn how to use your technology and spread hope throughout the galaxy. 500 years to convince other species that working together is more important than competing with each other." Elena looked around her bridge. Marcus was staring at data streams he could barely understand. Sarah was watching alien technology that made her head spin. They were just miners and scientists, not galactic saviors. "What if we fail?" Elena asked. "Then at least you will fail while trying to save everyone, not just yourselves. There is honor in that kind of failure." Elena made her decision, but first she wanted to talk to Earth. Using the beacon's advanced communication systems, she contacted every human government at the same time. Presidents, prime ministers, and council leaders from across human space listened as she explained what they had discovered. The debate lasted for hours. Some leaders wanted to refuse the offer, arguing that humanity was too young and inexperienced. Others wanted to accept immediately, excited by the promise of advanced technology. Finally, an old woman from the African Federation spoke up. Her name was Dr. Amara Okafor, and she was one of Earth's most respected philosophers. "My friends," she said quietly, "we are not being asked this question because we are the strongest or the smartest. We are being asked because, in our hearts, we cannot say no when someone needs help. The galaxy needs help. Not just our part of it, but all of it. Every species, every world, every person who wants to love and dream and build something better than what they have today. If we say no, we can go back to our normal lives. We can mine asteroids and trade with aliens and slowly explore the galaxy. We will probably live good lives and die peacefully, but we will know that somewhere out there, the silence is coming. We will know that children not yet born on worlds we have never seen will face an enemy that wants to steal their hope and their joy." Dr. Okafor paused, and Elena could hear her crying softly. "How can we say no to that? How can we choose our own comfort over everyone else's survival?" The vote was unanimous. Humanity accepted the role of legacy guardians. Elena felt the beacon's response immediately. Knowledge flooded into every human computer system. Libraries worth of information about technology, history, and the nature of the universe itself. But more than that, she felt connected to something vast and ancient and wise. "You are not alone in this task," the voice said. "The architects may have transcended physical form, but we have not abandoned our children. We will guide you when we can, though the final choices must always be yours." "What do we do first?" Elena asked. "You begin by staying exactly who you are. The greatest danger to any guardian species is losing sight of why they fight. Never let power make you forget that every life has value, that mercy is stronger than revenge, that hope is more important than logic. Share your technology with other species, but share your hearts as well. Show them that working together creates more than competing against each other. Help them remember that they are all part of the same galaxy, the same universe, the same family of conscious beings who can choose love over fear. Elena felt the beacon's presence withdraw slightly, but not disappear. She knew it would always be there when humanity needed guidance. She looked out at the alien fleets still surrounding her ship. Ships that had come to claim ancient technology for themselves now watched as that technology was freely given to the youngest species in the galaxy. Elena opened communication channels to all the alien ships. "This is Captain Elena Vasquez speaking to all vessels. We have been chosen as legacy guardians not because we are superior, but because we are stubborn. We refuse to give up on anyone, even people we have never met. The technology we have received will be shared with all species who want to help protect the galaxy. Not sold, not traded, but shared freely. Because that is what families do, they take care of each other. The silence is coming, and it will try to make us afraid of each other, suspicious of each other, angry with each other. Our job is to prove it wrong. Our job is to show the universe that hope is stronger than fear, love is stronger than hate, and together, we are stronger than anything that tries to tear us apart." Elena paused, thinking of her small mining ship and how far they had all come in just a few weeks. "We did not ask for this responsibility, but we accept it gladly. Because someone has to stand guard over the light, and apparently, we are the only ones stubborn enough to try." The beacon pulsed one final time, and Elena felt its ancient approval. Across the galaxy, architect sites began teaching their knowledge to any species willing to learn. The network of light that connected the stars grew brighter, pushing back the darkness that waited at the galaxy's edge. Humanity had awakened something that slept for 70,000 years. In return, they had awakened to their true purpose: to guard hope itself against the forces that would destroy it. Elena smiled as she watched alien ships begin working together instead of competing with each other. The first lesson in fighting the silence was already beginning. They were going to save the galaxy by staying human. And somehow, that felt exactly right.